education, and healthcare. That's where taxes come in. When we pay our taxes, we are investing in our country's future. We are supporting the schools that educate our children, the hospitals that care for our families, and the roads and bridges that connect our communities. And when businesses pay their taxes, they are contributing to the growth and development of Uganda's economy. They are helping to build a stronger, more prosperous nation for us all. So when you pay your taxes, you are investing in the future of Uganda and supporting the progress and development of our nation. Uganda is because of you.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda.
Good morning, taxpayers of Uganda. Welcome to today's episode of Tax Mchuzi. My name is Anan Priska. I'll be your host today, and I hope you're having a lovely new month. Happy November, everyone. In studio today, I'm joined by a lady who needs no introduction. If you followed URA, you know Hafsa Seguya. Hafsa, welcome to Tax Mchuzi. It's great to have you on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So for our regular viewers, those ones probably know you, but then the new ones, people tuning in for the first time,
Yes.
probably, would like to, hear you introduce yourself.
Good morning, Uganda. Good morning.
How,
Thank you very much. Withholding tax, ideally, is income tax.
okay.
But by the mode of which we collect it, it takes the name withholding.
Okay.
We withhold a particular amount at source as the client is paid for that good or that service they've supplied. So we withhold a particular portion.
Okay.
And then it takes the name withholding tax. But ideally, it's the income tax.
Still.
Just because you are a tax it or gets it in advance when the year is moving, so it gets that name withholding tax because we get it prior.
Okay.
And it is basically done by a withholding tax agent, a designated agent. So there are two players in this. We have the payee, the person they are going to withhold from, and we have the withholding tax agent. This is the person who withholds from you at source. So those are the two players we have in this picture. Yes, if you may not file or want to file what you want, let us withhold. Because I'm withholding a 6% of a certain figure, that probably will give me $1 million. I could add back to get what the figure was. And I'll know that was the amount of money you were paid by that entity, or you were meant to be paid by that entity. Same applies to the others where you supply. So I need to see how best I can ascertain your gross income for a particular year, but using the data available.
Okay.
That is how withholding tax happens. So we just sit, designate, create awareness, train, make sure our systems are running for the clients to utilize them. Then we wait for end of month and we see exactly.
And how do you, pick out, select these people who are going to be the designated withholding agents?
Ideally, let me look at say this year. Let me say last year, because last year we had designated agents where we looked at entities that have supplies or expenses to a tune of 900 million and above for a whole year.
Okay.
Because if you have 900 million in a year or in 12 months, that means at least you have had some good millions in a month.
That's true. Yes,
So I need to know who is that supplying you that hasn't come on my register. Because I'm meant to expand the register so that everybody takes their fair share of taxes. If all of us pay a little, nobody will be paying much. But if I don't do that, I'll keep coming back to these same people, and at the end of the day, I will nag them. At times, some may be forced to relocate or forced out of business because it will look like witch hunting, which is not the case.
There are some of those people who are exempted.
For example, if I'm looking at employment income for one who works in the UPDF, one who is in the Uganda Police Force, one who is in the prisons force, whatever income they source, ideally is exempted from taxes. And income sourced by a local government, ideally is exempted from taxes. When you look at things like KCCA, in Kampala and maybe the local government in the municipal setup. They source income because they have tenders that come in, they have this and that, they collect license fees and all that. That is their income that they source. But ideally it's exempted because they are not in a profit-making arena. They are basically sourcing it out to see how to plow it back in another project altogether. So those are some of the incomes that could be exempted, and maybe funds that are into, for example, if...
And still, any changes in the law are still endorsed by the members of parliament.
Exactly, they're discussed in parliament because they are the legislators. Then Ministry of Finance has to bless them, okay them. Then at the end of the day, they are bills, and the president has sent to them. Then they turn into law. That is when the laws are basically amended on an annual basis.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're ready for implementation.
Yes.
Okay, so
actually, when you see one earning a salary, their salary is meant to pick some tax. Okay. And that tax is pay as you earn, but it is withheld from the employee's remuneration at source.
yes.
That is one of the categories I would give you. Then those in the insurance and advertising agencies, the agencies that do the insurance and advertising, whatever commission they pick has to suffer some withholding. Activity, they're not static. And when one supplies goods and services, but goods and services have a threshold of $1 million. In case the value of this supply of the good or service exceeds $1 million, that is when withholding tax happens. And you'll ask me, when does it exceed? Because this person supplying ideally has to invoice the designated agent to know how much the value of the transaction is. So once it exceeds $1 million, that is when this designated withholding tax agent has to withhold 6% of the amount that is payable to the payee.
Okay.
Yes. And we have one who purchases an asset. When you purchase an asset, ideally, when you're paying out, whoever is receiving the amount on that asset, definitely there's a 6% that has to be withheld. So there are different categories here and there, whereby we needed to be very, very keen. And we have professional fees. Whoever is designated as a professional or categorized as a professional, where we have a lawyer, we have an engineer, we have a surveyor, we have an architect, we have consultants in the different fields. They are professional. So when they supply you services, irrespective of the amount, here when we are looking at professional fees, we do not compare, we do not provide for any threshold.